Welcome to the 5 for 2 podcast with me, your host Adele, where we say no to careers where you're trading 5 days of misery for 2 days of fun. A place we discuss all things career, confidence, and money moves. I want to motivate, teach, and empower ambitious women to achieve more, earn more, feel more confident, and enjoy the work they do. It's all about believing you can have everything you want in your career and then going and getting it. So if you're ready, let's get into it. This is not even going to be a long episode. Well, I'm not planning on it being a long episode, but we need to talk. We have to talk about this. Who's still saying they're a perfectionist when they go to interview? Who's still saying that is their weakness? Stop it. I need you to stop it. The reason for this episode is just a conversation I was having over on social media not too long ago. And it's all about the fact that whenever interviewers say, what is your weakness? Everybody says, I'm a perfectionist. And I need you to stop it. If I interview 10 people in a day, I can almost guarantee that 8 or 9 of them are going to say, I'm a perfectionist. Listen, when you say that in your interview, the interviewer rolls their eyes, okay? Their soul leaves their body. They are not interested. Even if you can't see them rolling their eyes are rolling in their head. You know the rolling eye emoji? That is what you're creating. And after that, the interviewer hears nothing else you said because they're like, oh, you just said some cliche stuff to get the job rather than just really knowing who you are. And the reason I say this is because most people are not perfectionists. You say it because you think to yourself, oh, if I say I'm a perfectionist, that's a good thing and a bad thing. So it's a weakness and really it's a strength. Oh, babe, I've been there. I've done it myself. I feel like they either teach us this in school or I don't know, because it's almost like a cult answer. Like, where have we all learnt this from? But I do honestly think I remember being taught something like this in like a school workshop. You know, when you do your little mock interviews in year 11. And I feel like they told us to say this, like when someone asks you what your weakness is. I also feel like if you go on Google, it's a nonsense answer that some places tell you to say, but you're all saying it and I need you to stop. Even if you are actually a perfectionist, and I know that is real. The problem is there are real perfectionists out there that because everyone's saying it, now it seems like everyone's lying, even when you're not lying. So here is a tip. If you are genuinely listening right now and you are a perfectionist, do you have any other weaknesses that you can say instead? Any other weaknesses that you can use and show that you've overcome them? So show that you can evaluate yourself and that you've overcome them. If not, this is what I want you to do. I want you, when they say to you, what is your weakness? I want you to say, I'm a perfectionist. I know you probably hear that all the time, but it's true. In my previous jobs, I have, and then give the example, the exact example of where you're a perfectionist. Because a lot of people say they're a perfectionist, but when I ask them to give me examples, they can't give me examples, which means you're not actually a perfectionist. But if you are, I want you to say, listen, I am a perfectionist, and you've probably heard this answer 1,000 times, but I genuinely am. Your example, and then explain why you're not like that and you got over it. Like someone online just said she always answers where she says she knows that done is better than perfect, even though she's a perfectionist. I think you need to elaborate on an answer like that. And I genuinely think you need to give an example of how you've been a perfectionist in your job previously, how it slowed you down, how it was a problem. Because if you're saying something is a weakness, it means it is a problem. You need to be able to demonstrate that you know why it was a problem and then demonstrate how you got over it. Because you want to show them that you can self-evaluate and you can manage yourself to get out of a bad situation and produce a result. Yeah, so you show that you can lead yourself. So I need you to remember that part. This is why career coaches, anyone who deals with career learning and development people, always talk about knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. Because when you know them, you will stop getting anxiety over these questions. Everyone always worries like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say about my weaknesses? Oh, I feel embarrassed to talk about my strengths. It feels like I'm bragging. But the truth is, when you really know yourself and you can give examples and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, remember that time when I did X, Y, Z? Like when you really can get to that point, interviews as a whole will feel less like anxiety driven. You will feel a lot less anxious. But honestly, the reason I am someone who bangs on about your strengths and your weaknesses is because it's a part of embracing who you are. It's a part of building your confidence. Like my little perfectionist brain, like I have traits of perfectionism. I'm definitely a perfectionist in some ways. I hate like criticism. I hate getting things wrong. I want everything to be perfect. However, I'm very impatient. So I like to get things done. Like I'm very much like, I don't have time. Let's get it done. I'm bored. Hurry up. But my perfectionist brain often will slow me down in some ways because it's like, oh, I want to check it like 5 times before I send it out. However, I would never say perfectionism is my weakness because it isn't. But in some ways, perfectionism, and again, I'm doing that weird thing, strength and a weakness. But what I would say about my perfectionism is done is definitely better than perfect. Just like that person online said, done is better than perfect. However, in my job, I do a lot of compliance, legal compliance, which includes things like police check and things like that. Done is not better than perfect. Perfect is better than done. I will take my time if it takes me longer because I can't make a spelling mistake, put a date in wrong. Compliance has to be 100% right. So when I'm talking about, like if someone was to ask me, are you perfectionist? Has it ever slowed you down? I can have the conversation and say, yeah, it slowed me down in these ways. However, in one part of my job, I need that little part of my perfectionist brain. And this is why. And the reason I can explain it on both sides is because I genuinely know myself and know how something hinders me or it helps me. So if you're listening to this podcast now, do you know how your strengths help you and how they could possibly hinder you? And do you know what your weaknesses really are? Or are you just saying something to get through the interview? Because that's the difference between finding places that are meant for you because you're showing who you really are in your personality, and then just getting any old job offer because you've said some of the right things, or not getting the job offer because you said perfectionist and interviews just don't want to hear it. And then the person who came after you didn't say that, and that one answer made them stand out. Because if everyone's saying the same thing and everyone's dancing to the beat of the same drum, you cannot stand out in an interview. And you guys know, I want you to get the job that you want, not just any old job. I want you to get the job. The job that makes you feel good. The job that helps you become the person you want to become and live the life you really want to live. But the only way to do that and to find that job and to find the boss that has some respect for you and to find a place you're appreciated and to find somewhere you enjoy is to be yourself. But you cannot be yourself if all you're busy doing is Googling how to answer this question, how to answer strengths and weaknesses, how to answer why should they hire me. Find out who you are. That confidence will feed into the interview and you will be able to be yourself, feel less anxious, and not be given these generic Google answers that mean you never stand out for the jobs that you actually want. So, if you have learned nothing from today's episode, do not go to your next interview and say perfectionist. Stop. Don't do it. No. And if you are a perfectionist, think of a better way to answer. Actually, before I go, one other thing I want to touch on. The reason I told you to give an example if you say you're a perfectionist, obviously, from the point I said before, everyone says it, but also every answer you give in your interview, give examples. Because when you give examples, you relax a bit because you're telling the truth and you're talking about things you've done. People are always more comfortable and more confident when you are speaking about things you have done. People talk about the STAR method all the time for interviews. Situation, task, action, result. Yeah, that's how they tell you to answer scenario-based questions. I'm going to tell you to take the last 2 things of the STAR method, action and result, and use them throughout your interview. Even if they ask you, what qualities will you bring to this job? I don't want you to just list your qualities. I want you to link those qualities to work you have done previously, the projects you have done previously, to really good results that you have delivered for your companies in the past. And I want you to talk about them. Make sure they are relevant to the job that you have applied for. You should have already read the job description. We're not even going to go into that because if you haven't, then what are you even doing? But I want you to really action and result. What have these things helped me do? So what actions have they helped me take? And what have the results been? Because let's be honest, at interview, all they care about is, are you going to be able to do the job they want? And what could your future potential and contributions be to their company? So we're not going to say perfectionist. If you are, like all my fellow perfectionists, I'm a recovering perfectionist myself, but for all my fellow perfectionists, if you are a perfectionist, you're going to find a better way to answer that question. If you have to say perfectionist because you have no other weaknesses, no other negative traits, which I don't believe, because I believe we all have at least 2, maybe 3. maybe 4, some of us, things that we know we don't do that well, but we just don't want to admit it because we feel like, if we say it, we're not going to get the job. Actually, if you say it, you're going to get the job meant for you instead of just any old job. If you say it and talk about how you overcame it and continue to overcome it. Because the truth is, it's something that's a weakness. We have to work on it every single day. You work on it every day till you get better. Practice makes perfect. Which is ironic because I just said don't say you're a perfectionist. But you know exactly what I mean. So I want you to go into your interviews and actually think about what your real weaknesses are and why they're weaknesses. What has happened in your career that highlighted to you that this was a weakness? If you're a perfectionist, I'm sure your boss, someone has told you you're moving too slow. It's taking too long. Something has made you believe that that is your weakness. But what has happened? Use that in your interview so that you don't sound cliche and you don't sound like everyone else. Listen, they lied to us at school. This is no longer a good answer. Do not say this at interviews. The first time someone probably said it was probably amazing back in like 1950. I don't know when, but it doesn't work. So whoever told you this is a liar. Do not say it. Find a different weakness and remember, whatever the weakness is, explain what the weakness is or was and how you've overcome it or how you're working currently to always overcome it. Show that you can self-evaluate and that you can produce an outcome. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. If you ever need help with anything like this, because like you can hear me banging on about strengths, weaknesses, knowing yourself, I know where confidence lies. Everything you want from your career lies also. Reach out. If you want to know more about working with me one-to-one, getting onto any of my masterclasses, like just reach out and let me know. But the word today is, my weakness is not perfectionism. Have a good day, guys. I hope this episode gave you exactly what you needed and motivated you to confidently take steps towards your next career move. If you enjoyed it, screenshot and share it on your socials, tag me on Instagram, and come join my community of amazing women working on leveling up their confidence and careers. Thanks for listening and see you next time.